From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
American Door Company has been family-owned and operated for over 29 years, supplying Northern California with quality garage doors, garage door openers, and installed with the best service you'd expect from a locally owned company. We serve all of Northern California from Willows all the way up to the Oregon state line. Give us a call today.
Happy holidays from Weather NorCal and our sponsors. Have a wonderful holiday season.
Well, happy Friday morning to you. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger. Thank you so much for joining us here on this Friday edition of your morning forecast. Hey, let's take a look at our weather headlines, show you what we're tracking here for the weekend, even going into next week. Off and on rain will continue through the weekend, of course, today through the weekend. Flooding potential is something we got to continue to really keep a close eye on. And also mudslides, debris flows, looking at rock slides out there as well. Now, gusty winds. We saw them the last few nights, right? We saw it last night and again this morning. We'll be looking at gusty winds continuing off and on here through the weekend as well. I do expect, I've been talking about a drier trend here through next week. I'm beginning to see more and more signs of that. Maybe toward the end of next week, there may be a little bit of some shower activity. We'll take a closer look at that here in just a second. Of course, looking at your deeper dive forecast. But before we get to that, let's get through Krueger's Quickcast. For those of you that are in a hurry, just want to know what to expect here for today, let's get you into it. But first, let's talk about those winds. Some of the peak gusts we did see the last 24 hours, 40 to over 50 miles per hour for the coast, over 40 miles per hour for many of us in the valley, and you can see very gusty winds even off to the east as well. Not as many power outages as there were this time yesterday, but there certainly are some power outages that we are seeing out in Humboldt County, about 300 people without power. We may see more though, but it looks like we are going to be looking at the winds subsiding as we go through the morning. It's still midday, looking at those breezy, borderline windy conditions for the valley and stronger winds off to the east. Then we see another round of winds coming in here later this afternoon for the coast and some of those higher elevations as well. And then it'll probably continue into tonight. In fact, the wind's picking up even tonight here for parts of the valley as well. All right, so how much rain have we seen the last few days? Well, pretty impressive for some of us in the valley. A bit of a shadowing effect here out towards Red Bluff and Willows, only about 1,600s there, but almost an inch. The north end of the valley around Redding, about a half an inch in Chico. Of course, much more along the coast as you'd expect, and not as much off to the north and east. And again, that's the last 48 hours. That's the last 2 days. All right, so let's get you out the door here this morning, and it's going to be a little wet out there for some of us, but really for the most part, a lot of the rain that we saw last night, that's moving out. And really for the valley, what's going to happen is it'll be just a lot of those low clouds, maybe some fog, maybe some mist, maybe some drizzle, maybe even a little bit of clearing for parts of the afternoon, but I do expect a more organized rain to arrive later this afternoon and evening. So this is the storm system that moved through last night. That's moving on out. That's what gave us the gusty winds, the rain that we saw last night. This right here is the last in the series of atmospheric rivers we've been dealing with here. And that's going to be impacting us over the weekend. Now, we still have the flash flood risk, especially after the north and west of the valley. Very saturated ground, rain that we see on top of that could create some problems here with localized flooding, rises in creeks and streams, and of course, mudslides and debris flows. But take a look at today. You got a lot of those low clouds just kind of hanging around the valley here. It's going to be hard for us to clear things out here today. There may be some spots in the valley that could see some breaks in the clouds, but I do expect to probably see some mist and some light drizzle through a good portion of the morning hours. But maybe some clearing for some of those higher elevations, but mostly cloudy skies along the coast. Now we take you into this afternoon, you start to see the next batch of moisture coming in. Showers for the valley, westward, not as much in the way of rain or snow for that matter off to the east of the valley. But then as we go into tonight, that pushes eastward. Snow levels mainly around 6,000 feet or higher. You'll also notice it's trending more northward, at least here in Northern California. We're not seeing as much rain down to the south here. And then, of course, as we go into Saturday morning at 5 a.m., again, trending more northward with that rain, not seeing as much down to the south. Still high snow levels around 6,000 feet or higher. How about those road conditions? Well, they should be improving through the day today. You can see not much in the way of snow, maybe out towards Cedar Pass. And then tomorrow morning, more in the way of that wintry mix. That's because we're talking about higher snow levels, mainly even above 6,000 feet. But bottom line is, I always say this if you're traveling at all over the weekend, check those road conditions before heading out over those mountain passes. All right, so for your Friday, just look for mainly cloudy skies, eventually showers in the afternoon for the valley, showers late in the day, probably closer to the late afternoon, early evening before you really start seeing anything significant in the form of rain. And of course, afternoon showers for Siskiyou County, afternoon showers for everybody else to the west, north and west of the valley. Looking at your 7-day outlook, we keep it wet off and on here through the weekend, but yeah, look at that. We're finally drying things out for the valley. Mainly sunny skies. New Year's Day, a high of about 57 degrees. And that's what you'll notice. Even though it's drying out for next week, we still have some fairly cool temperatures. Now, for the coast, a bit of a different story. There may be some leftover showers Monday morning. There may even be a chance that as a system that clips the Pacific Northwest by the middle to latter part of next week, we could be looking at a chance for some showers here, especially out towards places like Del Norte County, for example. But otherwise, inland and for Trinity County, I'm keeping it dry most likely through next week. Taking a look at Siskiyou, Modoc, and the Eastern Mountains, also drying out. By the way, notice too, snow level 6,000 feet or higher Saturday. They will drop a little bit here as we go into your Sunday as well, so that could impact some of your travel. All right, that is Krueger's Quickcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you have a great day. Stick around, though. We're going to go into a lot more detail on this weekend's activity here and as we go through next week as well. So here's the storm timeline. For today, it's going to be a minor impact. As I mentioned, it's going to be late in the day that we'll see those showers begin to kick in. Winds kind of getting a little gusty as well. Snow levels fairly high, mainly above 6,000 feet. On Saturday, showers will kind of kick in, but then a lot of that activity will kind of push more to the north here as we see the axis of that system kind of push a little bit to the north. We'll talk about that here in a second. But we'll call it moderate impact, still snow levels fairly high. I'm going to call it a high impact on Sunday. And the reason I say that is because the main band of rain will move through late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, very strong winds. And then that will probably linger into at least midday on Sunday. By Sunday afternoon, a lot of that starts to break apart and move out. But I would say of all the days, this will be the highest impact, which will be basically Sunday morning through the afternoon, though conditions will improve. And then on Monday, it's a low impact because we're drying things out for the most part for everybody. All right, so there's the storm system. Moved through last night and early this morning. That's the next one coming in. That's the atmospheric river, by the way, the last one in this series that we've been dealing with here. So it's going to be mainly kind of pushed up to our north, but you can see how it kind of shifts to the north. Then we go into Sunday. There it is. It's pushing through Sunday morning. And then by Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, it's way down to our south. We're no longer being impacted by that atmospheric river. And then we go into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. We see an approaching atmospheric river right here, but it's mainly going to be pointed to the Pacific Northwest. Some of it's going to spill over into Northern California. We'll have to see what happens with this. This is showing signs of it kind of shifting southward, which could bring us a potential for some rain toward the end of next week. But for now, I'm going to keep it dry because a lot of the forecast models not really picking up on much in the way of that rain. Take a look at the impact, the atmospheric river impact. Again, these spikes here is where we have those atmospheric rivers. So you can kind of see it continues through the weekend, but you see how it just plummets by the time we go into Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and then no more atmospheric rivers, at least for Northern California, as we go into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. So finally getting a break from all this, right? But we also talk about that potential of flooding because the rain that we're seeing over the weekend and really tonight into this weekend, that is going to bring us the potential for some flooding for the areas in green, bigger potential off to the north and west out towards Del Norte and northern Humboldt County as we go through the weekend. And of course, we're seeing some of that kind of approaching the valley as well. So bottom line, ground is saturated. Any rain we see on top of that, the rain is going to have anywhere to go. So we see some localized street flooding. We see rises in creeks and streams and rivers. We see the potential for mudslides, debris flows, rock slides. You know the drill when we're talking about that around here, right? So that's going to be the case here through the weekend. Let's take a look at Futurecast, walk you through the timing of it through the weekend. And again, you can see a lot of the low clouds really lingering in the valley and a lot of those inland and mountain valleys as well. But some of those mountain areas could see some clearing here by around midday. Drizzle, light mist here for parts of the valley through the morning hours as well. 5 p.m., here's that kind of wave of moisture coming in that's going to bring us more rain. We go into about, we'll take into tomorrow, actually midnight. So this is late tonight, early tomorrow morning. That's where it stops. But there you can see, of course, we're going to be about 6,000 feet or higher. So not a lot of issues when we're talking chain requirements. But again, always check those various road conditions. I always say that because it's important you do that. But you see how it's trending more northward at this point. You see how it's kind of red bluff northward, not as much to the south in the valley. Now, you can see a little bit of shadowing as we go into the morning hours on Saturday, but most of it to the north in Redding, most of it to the north of Redding as well, and of course over the higher elevations. Look what happens as we go into Saturday afternoon. So you see how it was all doing this, it was kind of coming into Northern California, and then it kind of did this. That's because the atmospheric river is right here. It's pointing mainly over the Pacific Northwest. We're just getting kind of the outer fringes of that, giving us some of the straight showers, even a little bit of clearing possibly for parts of the valley Saturday afternoon. This, though, will eventually start to shift down to the south Saturday night into Sunday morning. So as we go into 6 a.m. on Sunday, now it's spreading in the region. Snow levels are beginning to drop between 4,000 and 5,000 feet as some cooler air begins to move in. And then you'll notice as we go into Sunday afternoon, look at that, it's actually starting to break up. Remember I was talking about that atmospheric river shifting way to our south over Southern California. And then for us, we just got the leftover moisture, instability, giving us a few showers Sunday afternoon. But by Sunday night, Monday, most of this is gone. Take a look at the forecast rainfall totals through the weekend. And as expected, it's mostly to the north around Redding, not as much to the south. And of course, much more rainfall to the north and west. And even some decent amounts of rainfall, about a half an inch to an inch for parts of the eastern mountains and Modoc County. Snow, well, we're not going to see much in the way of the mountain communities because the snow levels will be too high. Maybe around Chester, Quincy, Altura, seeing a trace. But you're going to have to go, as I mentioned, mainly above 5,000 to 6,000 feet. Now, as I mentioned, too, by Sunday, they will drop, but a lot of the mountain communities just won't see much snow on top of that. Road conditions are improving today. They should stay fairly, they should improve even as we go into this afternoon and evening. And then looks like we're seeing more of that rain-snow mix as we go into Saturday morning. But overall, conditions are going to be much better. Now, I still think, especially east of I-5, there'll probably be leftover chain requirements, mainly for big rigs, but there may still be some slick spots out there that you need to keep a close eye on. And remember, Sunday may be a bit of a different story. There may be more chain requirements east of I-5 as we lower those snow levels down to about 4,000, 4,500 feet. So again, we saw the timing through Sunday, right? That's all. We're drawing things out by Monday. Here's a weak disturbance that kind of breaks apart. This is the next atmospheric river right here. You can clearly see it right there. Now it's mainly pointed to the Pacific Northwest. That's where we're seeing the bulk of the rain here through next week. But look how, as we go into Thursday, you see how it's just trying to touch extreme northwestern California Wednesday into Thursday. So Del Norte County, northern Humboldt County, yeah, maybe some showers by Wednesday, maybe even Thursday. We'll see what happens with this. But for now, we're just going to kind of keep it dry. Let's just get through the weekend, and then we'll kind of maybe touch on next week and see what happens as we get at that point. But overall, you can see we're in the drier trend. Now, the lighter shades of brown indicating a slimmer chance of seeing drier than normal conditions. So that doesn't mean all bets are off for rain, but we're just not looking at much in the long range. But still, looks like we're in that warmer than normal category. Hey, all this rain has been phenomenal for those lake levels. We've been watching on a daily basis, especially Shasta Lake and Lake Oroville, rising anywhere from 1.5 to 2 feet in a matter of 24 hours each day. And we're seeing that again here. Obviously not as impressive out towards Trinity Lake, but still we'll take it. This is great. We're continuing to see that. Ski report, let's take a look at that. We're up 60 inches out at the summit, out at Mount Shasta Ski Park. I was out there yesterday with my son. It was just kind of a light snow throughout the day, but obviously not enough to really add much on top of what they did see. I think yesterday was about 54 inches at the summit. 56 inches, somewhere around there. So yeah, just tacked on a few more inches. And then as I mentioned, as we go into tomorrow, I'm a little more concerned because it may be more in the form of rain at that point. Let's take a look at the snow totals through 5 a.m. on Saturday. So as we go tonight and tomorrow morning, 1.3 inches at the base of the ski park, the summit of the ski park, 16 inches. Now, let's take you through the day on Saturday. Watch the number right here especially. You see how it doesn't add up, but to the higher elevations, we see more snow, but nothing for the base of the ski park. There is a chance, as we go through the day on Saturday, any precipitation we do see for the base of the ski park will be in the form of rain and not snow. We'll certainly have to keep an eye on that. But then again, as the snow levels drop on Sunday, we start to tack more and it turns back over to snow. So we don't have to really worry too much. Even if it does turn over to rain, right, at the base of the ski park, we may lose some snow, but not enough for it to be an issue, because then we're just going to tack back on another several inches on top of that for your Sunday. How about those winds? Of course, we saw the gusty winds, right? And you can see as we go into the noon hour, really subsiding off to the west, still a bit breezy for the valley, and some gusty winds even for parts of the eastern mountains midday. By 6 p.m. today, winds are picking back up along the coast. Still breezy for the valley, still gusty winds, especially for a lot of those mountain ridge tops. Taking you to Saturday morning, all right, the winds are down a little bit, a little breezy out towards parts of the valley, especially the east side of the valley. But look at this, Saturday evening, those winds are picking back up again across the board, and especially Saturday night, Sunday morning. Could see more gusts again over 40 miles per hour. Could see the potential for more power outages Sunday, late Saturday night, Sunday morning. But by Sunday afternoon, you'll see that the winds are getting much weaker. So it's going to be off and on with the rain and off and on, of course, with those winds as well. Take a look at those wave heights for today. Let's take you into your Saturday. They're not dropping much, are they? In fact, we take a look at your marine forecast, and there is a small craft advisory through Saturday, by the way. So we have to kind of keep that in mind. South winds at about 20 to 25 knots. Your waves from the south at 10 feet at 8 seconds, and from the west at 16 feet at about 15 seconds. So here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures for today are going to be basically 50 degrees, give or take. We keep it wet through the weekend, and then by Monday, we'll dry things out. For the North Coast, I'm keeping that chance in there, especially for northern Humboldt County, Del Norte County, maybe a chance for a shower on Monday. But overall, we're drying things out. And Wednesday, and I really should probably have even included Thursday in there as well. But towards the middle and latter part of next week, we may see some of those showers just clip places like Del Norte County. Smith River about 58, 56 for Gas Key, and there's Orleans with a high of about 54 degrees. Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures mid to upper 40s there. 49 for Happy Camp. Etna about 46. Dry by Monday and through most, if not all, of next week. Taking a look at your Modoc County neighborhood forecast, temperatures today in the mid-40s, give or take. Dry by Monday through a good portion, if not all, of next week. Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast, you're dry by Monday as well, but cool still. Only in the upper 30s to around 40 for Monday, Tuesday, back in the low to mid-40s by next Wednesday and Thursday. Your Valley neighborhood forecast brought to you by Walgamith Painting. Temperatures in the mid to upper 50s for today. We got those showers coming in later in the afternoon. Otherwise, kind of the overcast, low clouds, drizzle, mist out there, especially in the morning. By the afternoon, though, better chance for some measurable rainfall. Taking a look up to the north, same situation with the cloud cover, right? And you can see 54 degrees for the city of Shasta Lake, 56 in Cottonwood, and it looks like Red Bluff a high of 56 degrees. Let's take a look at that 7-day outlook for Redding. And there you can see the chance for showers here for Saturday, Sunday. But by Monday, yes, we're finally drying things out. But again, notice, even though we got plenty of sunshine, it's not warming up. In fact, it might be a little bit cooler. Mid to upper 50s through New Year's Day, and then maybe back up to about 60 by next Thursday. That's your morning update. I'll be back again this afternoon for your latest forecast. Have a great morning.